Hey, welcome back. I'm Ferrikster. Here to bring you some more Pokemon Go practice battles. These battles are for the upcoming Halloween Cup. Why am I out of focus? There we go. Halloween Cup is played in Great League and only Poison, Bug, Ghost, Dark, and Fairy Pokemon are allowed. That's it. There's no other restrictions. Nothing specifically got banned. Very clean. Simple. So, I reached out in my Discord to see if anyone had built up some teams and wanted to try them out against some teams that I built. So I had constructed 5 teams. I developed feelings about each one of them and the components in them as I went along. But yeah, just kind of wanted to jump in and do some practice battles just to get a feel for what other people were looking to use, because that, kind of helps you inform your decision on what is actually going to work, it's a good representation for what you're actually going to see. So I built this first team. It is Drifblim, Double Fairy, but this is not actually a double charm team. My Sylveon is running Quick Attack with its Community Day move Psyshock and Moonblast. And on this particular team, that is kind of used as the safe swap. I mean, yeah, if there's a poison, it will end up dragging it out, and there probably will be a poison. Like when you play an ABB team, if you have a neutral matchup in the lead, you're supposed to swap out to your safe swap. I don't particularly like running Double Charm because I find that, especially in this particular meta, where there's a lot of poison types that can farm a fairy type all the way down, especially if it's using Charm and cannot threaten the poison type back, it can set you up in a really, really nasty position really quickly. So, since that was the thing, I decided to build this team with Sylveon with Quick Attack. Here, I'm going to switch out and lag a bunch and finally actually make my swap. Ariados comes back out, which, makes plenty of sense, was obviously going to happen, but I am going to no-shield the first Cross Poison, just in case they get the boost, and I'm going to get to the Psyshock right as they reach their next Cross Poison, so I'm just going to shield this one, spam out the Psyshock. The Psyshock will take out the Ariados from here, because always nice to have a Psychic coverage move if you are going to be targeted by poisons. Takes out Ariados. I can bring Sylveon back out. Aashish here makes a decision to throw Dark Pulse, not because his Zweilous is single moved or because that's a better choice, Body Slam would have done more damage. It's just that he realized that the match was over, and one of the habits that Aashish has picked up from being a more frequent Silpher than a GBLer is that you do not reveal your moveset, even if it's the common moveset, if this isn't the last match. Just out of habit. He won't reveal the moveset unless he has to. So he wasn't going for a BM or using the wrong move or single moved. He just didn't want to reveal. It's a Sylph habit. And it's a good practice when you're doing that kind of thing. All right. This next matchup, I switched to Azumarill in and was met with a Wigglytuff. And Wigglytuff isn't really the best counter to Azumarill, especially if your Azumarill is XL, as mine is. XL Azumarill is going to be very potent in this cup, which, any cup where Azumarill is allowed, it's going to be quite strong. So this cup is no exception. The thing about bringing Wigglytuff in is you can really just go straight Ice Beam. It is going to take 2 charge moves to take out Wigglytuff regardless, so they might as well be the cheaper ones. Azumarill is going to be able to force both shields out of Wigglytuff, and from here I would be able to just farm up a bunch of energy. So I'm going to bring in Crustle, and I'm not going to shield this, I think. Yeah, no, I'm not going to shield this. And after that lands, I could have just swapped in to try to get an energy lead, because I had already seen that the Mawile had Ice Fang instead of Fire Fang. If the Mawile had Fire Fang, I would have had to play this out differently. Then I would have brought Frostlass out into the Wigglytuff to farm down there so that I'd have energy ready to throw, as opposed to the other way. As opposed to the way that I did play it, where I knew that, Ice Fang Mawile won't really have that much play against Frostlass, and Frostlass will outpace. So, it was just safer to send in Crustle and absorb the hit there. Mawile going to come back out, and Mawile Ice Fang, Fire Fang, Thunder Fang, they all charge very slowly. They are high damage moves with very low energy drain or energy build, so I'm just going to be able to reach that Shadow Ball, and I'm going to take out the Mawile, and that's a GG. All right, into this game 3. Sableye into Toxicroak. This is a very strong lead for Sableye. Aashish is going to switch out to Crustle, and I'm going to send in Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen is a really good response to Crustle. I have a Crustle on one of my teams also, and I mean, my thinking behind bringing Crustle in the first place was there would probably be a ton of Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz is supposed to be the #1 Pokemon in this meta, and a lot of people already have one from previous cups. I threw the Earth Power there because I figured there was no reason for them to shield. They're just going to be able to bring out Toxicroak and farm Nidoqueen down. I'm going to throw this Poison Fang, get to the defense drop. I probably shouldn't have done that and should have just gone straight Earth Power, but if I did, I would have been farmed the whole way down. I end up getting farmed the whole way down. Anyway, I'm going to throw this Earth Power, and that is going to force a shield out of them. So, fine. Now I'm going to bring out Sableye. I don't really need to shield the first move here. Standard set with Toxicroak is Mud Bomb and Sludge Bomb. Ended up losing CMP here. I thought Sableye would win it. I don't know why I thought that. So I am going to have to shield this Mud Bomb, and now the Foul Play is going to be thrown. I know this Tox probably has a little bit of residual energy already, but they're not going to shield. Going to get taken down, and he brings in a Shadow Tyranitar, which is a wild, insane pick. Unfortunately, I had just brought along a Azumarill, so I'm just going to be able to bubble the T-Tar to death, and that is, you know, unfortunate for Aashish. But, I mean, Smackdown T-Tar, I mean, you're going to definitely have to get alignment if you're going to run something like that with all of that fast move damage. If your fast move ends up not being effective, or if, you know, the opponent has a super effective fast move on you, it can really put you in a bad spot. All right, next up against NoTrebleClef. So this is my Crustle into a Nidoqueen. I switch out right away to a Azumarill, and immediately when I do this, I started to realize, you know what? This team that I built here is pretty weak to a Nidoqueen opener. I'm not sure if I should continue running it. So I didn't throw the Ice Beam right away because I figured maybe he would catch it if I did. And then he caught it anyway by switching out one later, because NoTreble knows me, and that's actually a very me thing to do, to not throw right away. I should have realized that NoTreble knows me and thought about that. But regardless, I'm going to throw this next Play Rough, and that is going to land. Azumarill is going to throw an Ice Beam here and then go for a big farm down, or not really that big of a farm down, but a little bit. And that's going to enable me to reach this Play Rough, which is helpful. Gonna land that and do that damage because I don't have any amazing way of taking out Azumarill anyway. So now I'm going to send in Crustle. I'm not going to shield this. If it was a Hydro Pump, it would probably nearly kill me, but it's just a Play Rough, and that is fine. I'm going to be able to smack down the rest of the way down, and I have some energy. So Nidoqueen comes back out, and because it's Shadow, I'm going to throw this Rock Slide. It is going to do some damage, but not like a lot of damage, and now I'm going to bring out Frostlass and try to farm the rest of the whole way down. I'm not going to shield this because I know it's just a Poison Fang. Saving my shields for whatever might be in the back, and it is a Toxicroak, which is throwing single resisted counters, but since my defense has already been dropped, they're doing a bit. He sneaks in one counter there, which is unfortunate for me. I really need every little bit of health that I can get right now. So going to be able to reach this next Avalanche and throw that. And he still hasn't thrown anything because he doesn't want me to sneak in a move. And I go down right before I reach my Avalanche. If he hadn't snuck in the counter, I would actually have been able to reach it. So that is unfortunate for me. And I just get countered the rest of the way down. And yeah, it takes me out. That's GG. It's just all around pretty tough. All right. Sableye into Marowak. This is a fantastic lead for me. So much better than the last one. I am just going to Shadow Claw up. I am going to throw this Foul Play when Marowak reaches 4. It is 5. This is being thrown at 6. It's 5 Fire Spins to the first Shadow Bone and 4 to the second. So after that, and he was 1 over, he just has. I am just going to throw this here right before he gets to his next Shadow Bone. And yeah, he's going to no shield and let that go down. So a Escavalier is going to come out, which is not a Sableye counter. So whatever's in the back is presumably even worse against Sableye than that. So after I throw this Foul Play, I am going to try to switch out to catch a move or something on Azumarill. I don't actually manage to make the catch, but I do get to find out what else is in the back, and it is a Drifblim. So yeah, that is going to have a pretty rough time against Azumarill, especially because I had this tiny energy lead. I'm going to be able to get that Ice Beam out. And I definitely don't need to use my shields here. If they Icy Wind me and then land a Shadow Ball or something, that might be one of their only win conditions. Just going to throw this Ice Beam here. He was actually able to reach another move, so I am going to no-shield this also. Just an Icy Wind, that's fine. Now I'm going to undercharge this Ice Beam a lot, all the way, so that it doesn't KO, and I should be able to bubble down. And now I switch in Sableye, and this Escavalier already had a bunch of energy. I opt to shield this first drill run, expecting that I would be able to get to the next foul play before we reached another one, but gets there anyway, and that's fine. That is going to take Sableye out. Escavalier is actually fairly dangerous for Nidoqueen, but No Trouble doesn't know this. For all he knows, I have a whole Pokemon that's good at stuff in the back. Either way, I'm going to be able to reach this this Play Rough with my Azu, and that is going to take Escavalier out, and that's a GG. But props to No Trouble for running Escavalier. Everyone knows how much I love Escav. All right, into the next match. Frostlass and Dusclops. This is a pretty terrible lead for Frostlass. It's actually just a really terrible lead for Frostlass. Dusclops outpaces, and these Shadow Punches do way too much damage. So I'm actually going to switch out and make a first catch on my my Skuntank, and that is going to help a lot. Met with a Golbat, which definitely does a fine job of countering Skuntank. I am going to just go straight Crunch. And I'm not going to throw it right away because I want to maybe pressure them into throwing another move, but I'm starting to realize that that's actually not going to happen. They're going to Wing Attack down the whole way regardless. So just going to throw the Crunch. I get a shield, which is fine, and I get a defense drop, which doesn't really matter. I'm going to throw one with a Frostlass and throw this Avalanche here right before he's able to get to the Shadow Ball. And rather than try to play a baiting game, he's just going to let it go down and bring Dusclops back out. So I'm going to throw the Avalanche here. This is either a bait or it would do enough damage. I don't run Sims, so I'm not sure if it would KO or not. But I am going to have to shield this Shadow Punch, and now I'm going to try to time this out to make a catch on Venusaur. And I do, kind of, or he was going to throw that anyway. Yeah, and now Dusclops is staying in, so apparently was going to throw it anyway. So I'm going to try to build up a little bit more energy because I don't know what's back there, and I don't know why he's staying with Dusclops, which clearly doesn't have an amazing matchup here. But I don't want to get hit with another Shadow Punch because that would leave me a little bit too low. So I'm just going to throw this Frenzy Plant here. We'll definitely take him out. And there is a Shadow Granbull in the back. So, yeah. Just going to throw this Sludge Bomb. That is going to one-shot the Granbull. And, yeah, that's going to take that game. GG. Managed to win that 2-1. All right, next up against Alpha Haydonus. This is Haydonus, a very popular Twitch streamer. Definitely recommend checking him out. He's a lot of fun to watch. Sableye into Drifblim, win that lead pretty substantially. He safe swaps into Galvantula, and I'm going to bring out Nidoqueen right away. I don't want to let Galv build up too much energy ahead of time because I don't want Nidoqueen to end up like double debuffed. I'm going to throw here in the middle of his third or his sixth Volt Switch because I don't want to get hit with another lunge. And now Drifblim is going to come out and like, yeah, I don't know how I feel about the decision I made to throw that there. Maybe taking more damage would have been better. I'm going to throw this Poison Fang. I mean, I have to throw stuff just to kind of stall out the clock. If they fully hit all of the bubbles on this Icy Wind, it would definitely take me out. So, yeah, Haydonus severely undercharged that. Might have been a 0 bubble. I'm going to throw this Poison Fang here. And I am just in a really good farm down range for them, and I can't really swap out, and I can't really stop him either. I mean, I guess I could swap out because I kind of have 2 answers, but I at the very least didn't want to switch lock myself. Especially because if I switch locked myself, they'd be able to debuff and then maybe swap out to whatever's in the back, and I don't need to find out what's in the back in that fashion. And it's a Nidoqueen. So, yeah, if I had swapped in to Sableye, I would have been probably debuffed and then they would switch out. Because I have the ability to swap out, they are less inclined to Icy Wind bait. So I get to save my shield here for Nidoqueen, and I'm going to use that there. Correctly calling the Earth Power, which is fantastic. If that had landed, I would be super dead this game, but not the way it happened. I'm going to reach this foul play and throw this as soon as I have it, because I don't want to get hit with something from this Nidoqueen. That is going to take Nido out, and that is pretty much a GG. Drifblim comes back out, and going to throw this move just so that Haydonus can, you know, check to find out what my third was in the first place. Just going to bring out a Azumarill, and yeah, throw one bubble and manage to take that game. GG. So yeah, plenty of poison in the back waiting for Azumarill. I'm just really glad I didn't try to actively swap out of that Drifblim matchup. All right. Team comping my opponent again. He's going to switch in his own Frostlass. I'm going to build up to the Shadow Ball and throw first. So since I'm throwing first and he already has all the energy for a move, if he were to just let the Shadow Ball go, it would be a huge, devastating loss. After that, I'm going to switch out to Skuntank because I don't really want to play the baiting game. Gonna end up eating this Avalanche, and that is fine. He would have to throw another one and be energy drained if he wanted to prevent me from reaching this crunch, so instead he's just gonna let me reach it and gonna use his last shield. Which is fine, because this Frostlass has a bunch of energy. So here, I'm gonna send out my own Frostlass, and the reason I send Frostlass out is because if I send out Venusaur, I know for sure that, you know, they'll throw Avalanches. Here, when I send out Frostlass, there's at least some encouragement for him to Shadow Ball instead. Which would be more energy used. Unfortunately, I'm going to get double baited, and I was going to throw my Avalanche there, and it didn't register, which is good for me because that would have been a tremendous waste. So instead, I'm going to get to just throw the Shadow Ball, which is going to hit this Marowak and do devastating damage. I build up till I have an Avalanche, and then I just switch out to Venusaur. If my Avalanche had fired, I would be in a much worse position right now, although it's not the end of the world yet. I'm going to be able to farm down with Venusaur. And yeah, Nidoqueen is going to come out. I am going to throw this. I tried to CMP tie them with a Poison Fang, but they were not throwing. Going to land that Frenzy Plant, and because they had snuck in one Poison Jab, I'm actually not able to KO them and be left with a move. But that's all right. I'm going to bring out Frostlass, and since I have an Avalanche stored, that is going to be enough to take out the opposing Frostlass. So I'm going to take that game. GG. All right. Drifblim into Zweilous. This is a terrible, terrible lead for me, so I am going to safe swap into my Sylveon, which is Quick Attack Sylveon, and he is going to respond sending in Wormadam, which is a Bug Bite Wormadam. So we're either both using the wrong fast moves, or we've made conscious decisions based on what we expect to see in the meta. There are supposed to be a lot of Dark types, so I can definitely understand why a Wormadam user might be using Bug Bite instead of the normal Confusion. I do resist the Bug Bites though, so really not taking a lot of damage from that. I am going straight Moonblast. That is the heavier hitting move, even though they are both resisted by Steel. And I'm going to have to Quick Attack the rest of the way down. I pretty much have to shield this because I cannot lose alignment. Like, I need Wigglytuff to end up aligned with a with the Zweilous. So going to switch out into Drifblim here. And going to end up having to eat this Discharge. Going to land, and I'm just barely not going to be able to fire off this Icy Wind. I go down with it. That is unfortunate for me, but that's just because, you know, the damage goes through on the turn before the fast move ends, so it goes through on the third turn. So that's why I wasn't able to throw. So yeah, going to throw 2 more Volt Switches, and now just going to throw this Discharge. Wigglytuff can take it because Wiggly is pretty tanky, and after 2 more, he's going to be able to throw his move, but gets Charmed down right before that. And Zweilous comes out, and normally I'd be able to take it out in 3 Charms, but since I... oh wait, no. Can't take it out in 3 Charms. Sorry, I was thinking of Little Cup. I'm going to be taken out by this Body Slam, and now I'm going to bring out Sylveon, and it is going to be really, really close, but I just barely managed to take him down, and am able to Quick Attack the Wormadam, and Quick Attack Sylveon manages to take that game. GG. All right, next up against FrostyACY. Frostlass into Obstagoon. This is an okay-ish matchup. Like, it's definitely not positive in the sense that Obstagoon has the ability to force its way into switch advantage if that's what they want. Trying to deny their counters from coming in, but not going to be able to do that. I'm going to throw this Avalanche, and I get the first shield, so makes sense. I sneak in the Powder Snow there, but I mean, they had snuck in 1 counter, so it's not really changing anything. I'm not getting any bit ahead of them. Night Slash doesn't go through, and yeah, they sneak in another counter, so I'm not going to be able to reach another Avalanche if I stay in here and let that counter register, so I swapped out to try to transfer that counter, so that maybe I'd be able to get a move on Frostlass later, and yeah. I met with a Golbat, which is an incredibly, incredibly hard counter to Venusaur. Yeah, in a pretty rough spot. So, gonna throw the Sludge Bombs. They don't do that much damage, but at least they're not double resisted as my Frenzy Plants are. Gonna throw this next one here. No need for them to shield because it is a regular Golbat. If it was a Shadow Golbat, it would have had to shield one or throw something, or it would have ended up too low. But I'm going to bring Skuntank out, and at this point, I'm kind of stuck taking these Poison Fangs, and I have to farm the whole way down. I had lost track of energy, so I wasn't sure if this could possibly be a Shadow Ball or not, but regardless, I've taken too much damage, and I need to shield something. So I'm here, and I have a move on a Shadow Skuntank, but not a ton of health, and I am already double defense debuffed, so I am going to throw this Crunch here, because Crunch is going to hit harder from neutral moves, and then I'm going to switch out, try to reach the Avalanche, didn't quite make it, and now my Skuntank is going to come back out and going to get hit with a move. Poison Fang lands, and Obstagoon is going to come back out. I'm not able to reach another charge move, and this is going to take me out, and that's a GG. So, yeah, that was a really rough team comp for me. All right, into game 2. Wigglytuff into Beedrill. This is even worse than my first lead. So, gonna have to switch out right away. I'm gonna send out Marowak. And I am met with an Umbreon, a super hard counter to Marowak. So, yeah. Yeah, it's not good. This is far from ideal. So I'm going to throw my Bone Club because it is hitting for neutral. Shadow Bone actually does more damage even though it is single resisted, just because Shadow Bone is much more efficient and gets stab. Probably should have just gone straight Shadow Bone from the start. I get the defense drop, which is fine. I sneak in a move there, but it's not going to register because I am not going to shield this. Umbreon is built up to back-to-back. There is absolutely no way. I'm going to send Wigglytuff out. I sneak in one Charm, which is helpful. Means I'm going to end up having to eat this last resort, but I at least won't have to eat another. So that's fine. And now I'm just spamming out my Quillfish because I know Beedrill is going to come back out. And yeah, there's an Obstagoon left over in the back. So if I could have gotten Wigglytuff aligned, then that would have been fine. I'm not able to force my way into alignment here, though. Going to no-shield the first one in case he gets the boost. Sneaks in a counter, which is rough for me. I am going to throw this Aqua Tail. I'm using Quillfish with Water Gun instead of Poison Sting because I was intending for it to be a counter to Nidoqueen, which is, you know, pretty popular Pokemon for this cup also. I'm going to get this last Aqua Tail off, and it is not quite enough. I am going to shield this because, I mean, I'm not going to really, I don't think I'm going to need to shield my Wigglytuff. I really need to be able to get a move out here. Able to reach this Aqua Tail, which is going to help a lot, especially because the Beedrill is Shadow, so this is going to do quite a bit. And now I'm going to switch out to Wigglytuff to transfer that last Poison Sting, but gonna end up eating this Drill Run, and that is gonna take me out, and I'm not quite able to Water Gun down fast enough. So that is a GG. But I mean, I made that about as close as I could have, given that I was hard countered in the lead and hard countered in the swap. So this is also a pretty terrible matchup. I'm gonna switch out right away to Sylveon, my safe swap. And they're staying in for a bit, so that's fine. I'm gonna throw this Moonblast here. It is the much harder hitting move. And it hits, honestly, really hard. Like, that's a neutral hit to a Azumarill, and that does a lot of damage. So now he's going to switch in Marowak after farming up 100 energy with Azumarill. So I have to be cognizant that the Azumarill has, like, 2 Ice Beams, pretty much, almost. Can't store 2. But nearly 2 Ice Beams. So I am just going to throw this next one against this Marowak, and that is fine. And I am not going to shield this because I'm definitely feeling that it is a Bone Club, and I don't want to waste my shields on a Bone Club. And now this Marowak doesn't have a ton of energy, or sorry, it has a ton of energy, and I send in Wigglytuff, which is maybe the right move, maybe not. I just didn't want to send in my, I didn't want to send in Drifblim, because if he gets taken out with a Shadow Bone, if they have a debuffer or something in the back, Wigglytuff won't be able to clear that debuff, and that would be bad. So I'm going to shield this first move, and it's only going to be 1 bubble until their next Ice Beam, and I should probably try to catch it, but I don't. Enough to just stay in. I am going to shield this, and I'm just going to try to catch the next Ice Beam if it comes to that. And yeah, I'm going to switch out here. They get there to the Ice Beam right before I am able to take them out. If I would have been able to sneak in a single Charm, then Azumarill would have gone down before reaching that. And then maybe I'd be charming down this Umbreon right now instead of what I am doing, which is Icy Winding the Umbreon with my Drifblim. And there's still an Azumarill in the back with a little bit of health that he can switch to clear his debuff. So that's rough. Like, I really needed one charm to go through on the Azumarill. Unfortunately, the fast move denial was just too strong. Not throwing anything because he wants to end with enough energy to KO, and also because he's trying to stall out the switch clock, and I'm just like, not so much playing into his hand as much as I can't prevent that from happening in this instance. So gonna end up eating this last resort. It does not do that much, but I mean, this Umbreon is going to be able to reach another one. I am throwing this Moonblast here, not because I'm expecting to get anything done, just because I don't want to be 2-shield flexed. So, yeah. At least didn't get 2-shield flexed, but this was a 0-3. Like, I got pretty hard countered in all of those matches, though, so, like, I don't feel too bad. It's like Frosty has been in my head or something. He knew what I was going to use. I don't know what's up with that. All right, next up against Hollow Purple. I was not prepared for this Grimer when I saw it. Like, what I should have done is switch out right away to anything, really. Like, Quillfish probably would have been the best choice. Staying in here, definitely not the right move. Because, I mean, I have two things that resist Poison Jab in the back. I thought that he'd only be able to reach one crunch and that I'd be able to farm down and then throw a move at whatever came out. So at least, you know, I'd have something going for me. Instead, I'm down a shield and lost Switch. So this is just all around pretty bad. And now Sableye comes out, which, I mean, is not great for either of my Pokemon. I could probably have just thrown the Shadow Bone here, but I figured he would shield, and yeah, he did not. So, yeah, that's rough for me. I'm going to have to shield this Foul Play because it's going to do devastating damage to everything that I have, and I'm going to throw a Bone Club. You know, if my first bait didn't work, I'm going to try to bait again, and hopefully this time it will. And I at least get the shield here. So now I'm going to bring in Quillfish. And I don't know what else is in the back, but I mean, whatever it is, it's pretty strong against Alolan Marowak because they brought Sableye in, and Sableye's already really strong against Alolan Marowak. So yeah, Quillfish is going to go down, and it's an Azumarill, which, yeah, is pretty strong against Alolan Marowak. So yeah, I am going to throw this Shadow Bone. Really for no reason, just so that you guys can see how much a Shadow Bone does in case you're not that familiar with this matchup and are considering running Alolan Marowak. And now I'm throwing the next one for absolutely no reason. Maybe just, I don't know, trying to go for a debuff, or I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, super dead that game, and that's a GG. Yeah. All right, into this game too. Drifblim into Tentacruel. My gosh, did I not speed this video up? Oh my gosh, I did not. I don't know how I missed this one. I must be so tired. All right, well, I mean, this piece of the video, I guess, is going to be kind of slow. I'm sorry. so Tentacruel. Tentacruel only really knows Poison Jab, and its bait move is Acid Spray. And it takes so long, not just because we're at regular speed instead of speed and a half, takes so long to get to the Hydro Pump. It takes, I think, 12 Poison Jabs to make it there, and there's just no way he's going to be able to reach that in the time it takes me to reach anything. So since I landed the first Shadow Ball, all I really have to do at this point is throw the Icy Wind, and that'll be enough to KO. Or, well, not quite, but, you know, I'm going to end up having to eat another Acid Spray here. And since I already know that I want to clear my debuff after this Acid Spray lands, I'm just going to swap out right away to Sylveon, get a little bit of an energy lead instead of waiting for Drifblim to KO first and then switching out. And an Escavalier comes out, which is like a pretty decent-ish match for Escavalier, but I mean, it's not terrible from the Sylveon side either. I'm going to go straight Moonblast because I know that my opponent isn't going to shield these. Hollow knows that, like, Sylveon doesn't know anything that isn't resisted by Steel, but that Moonblast with Stab hits so hard. It's kind of ridiculous, actually. So I think maybe I could/should have shielded this Drill Run, because I would definitely be able to reach the Psyshock before he's able to get to another one. We have a tiny bit of lag, which is pleasant, but, you know, definitely even worse because, you know, we're watching this at regular speed. Sorry. Gonna throw this Psyshock, and if he doesn't shield this, I think it will KO. And yeah, just decides to let it go, and that's fine. And there's a Kofagrigus in the back. So yeah, I'm going to bring out Drifblim because that's his last Pokemon, and I feel like trying to debuff it before I bring in Wigglytuff like Wigglytuff definitely would end up winning that regardless. I'm going to be able to reach this Icy Wind though, and that is going to do some chip damage if he lets it through, or it'll burn off a shield. Regardless, the point is that it'll lower his attack. Not that I think that's necessary, and I tried to swap out to Wigglytuff, but since he's throwing here, I'm just going to let it go and let Drifblim go down. Save 2 shields for Wigglytuff. Saving 2 shields for a Charmer is a pretty common thing, but really it's just I have all of the information already that I need about this match. And yeah. Can kind of just come in and charm the rest of the way down. Coffin is going to throw moves, but I absolutely don't need to shield any of them. The normal set is Shadow Ball with either Dark Pulse or Psychic. If it was Psychic, it would at least hit for neutral. Dark Pulse is going to do not very much, though. There's not really that many times where you'll need Dark Pulse over... Like you bring Dark Pulse if you're expecting to see normals, but there's like no normals in this cup. So I think if you're going to run Coffin, you should probably run Psychic as the other move because there are a lot of poisons in the meta. So Psychic, I think you'll end up using a lot more than you'll use Dark Pulse. It'll be better against both the poisons and the fairies. All right, next up. Crustle into Mawile. This Mawile is running the normal set of Fire Fang with Power Up Punch, and I assume... the other move is going to be Iron Head, but it probably doesn't come up this match because a lot of times Mawile doesn't reach an Iron Head because it just charges really slowly. So I'm going to throw this Rock Slide. Non-Shadow Mawile doesn't really have to shield that. And I'm going to be able to reach and throw this X-Scissor, but they're going to throw first. So I'm obviously just going to let the Power Up Punch through. I don't think X-Scissor would KO anyway because Mawile double resists it. And regardless, I'm fine bringing out a Azumarill, and I'm just going to Bubble Down. And then Hollow brings out a Greninja, which is not a Pokemon I would recommend anywhere, ever, in Pokemon Go, anyway. Like, Greninja is so squishy. I figured he would for sure shield, so I didn't bother throwing the Play Rough. I just, went to bait Ice Beam, but I think Hollow just knows me, and I have a propensity to bait in situations like that. So I'm going to end up eating more Night Slashes than I would prefer, and now I'm just going to throw another Ice Beam since I didn't get the shield on the first one, and from here I'm going to Bubble Down. So that's going to leave me with a lot less health, but at least have energy so I'll be able to presumably force a shield out of whatever's in the back, and there is a Leedian in the back. So this team is nuts. I wouldn't advise you running a team that is that nuts. Leedian, for what it's worth, has a stat product higher than Stunfisk. Like, Leedian is actually really, really tanky. Doesn't hit super hard, and Leedian really suffers from a lack of good moves. Like, Bug Buzz is fine as a charge move. Like, it does fairly decent damage for the price. It's not, like, super efficient or anything, but it's decent. But, yeah, between that and I think Air Cutter is the normal set. Like, Leedian just really doesn't have good enough moves, which is why we see tons of Stunfisk and not tons of Leedian, even though Leedian has a gigantic stat product. All right, next up. Yeah, that is a terrible lead for me, and I'm going to safe swap Sylveon, and am met with an Alolan Muck, so that is also really bad. He sneaks in an extra Poison Jab here, like I wasn't able to fast move deny, and that actually makes this so much worse because now I'm not going to be able to reach a Moonblast. If I would have been able to throw one more and then throw my charge move, I would have been able to reach a Moonblast, which would have done so much damage to this Muck. I don't think it would KO, but it would have been very close. Unfortunately, now I have a Muck with an Alolan Muck with a ton of energy, and I'm going to end up eating Dark Pulses. So I'm going to shield the first one so that I can get this Icy Wind out to at least debuff him so that the next Dark Pulse won't hurt quite as much, but I already know it is going to hurt so much. So I'm going to no-shield this Dark Pulse. It is going to do way too much damage, and I can't even farm down here, and I don't want to throw energy, so I'm just going to switch into Wigglytuff and go for a Snipe. And there's a Drapion on the back. So, yeah. Yeah, Drifblim double Fairy into Mandibuzz double Poison. They don't make harder counter teams, I don't think. Like, this is just like an impossible play from my standpoint. So, getting absolutely bodied, but that's alright. I am going to throw this Icy Wind so that we at least get to see how much an Icy Wind it does to a Mandibuzz, which is how you know that there is no way that, like, you know, Drifblim can win that matchup. The Icy Winds just do not do enough, and the Foul Plays or Dark Pulses would do way too much. All right, next up, Crustle into Mawile. This is, again, a bad lead for me, but obviously not nearly as bad as the last one. I am going to just stay in here. Because since this is Fire Fang Mawile, I do not want it to end up aligned with Froslass. It would absolutely chew through Froslass in no time. So, not going to shield the first Rock Slide, which is fine with me. I'm not going to shield this either, confident that this is just a pup. And if I'm able to reach my X-Scissor, I would be able to KO. They're going to swap out into Jellicent, and I probably should have just thrown the Rock Slide because that would have done a pretty respectable amount of damage, and I already had the energy. Instead, I'm going to store the Rock Slide because I don't know if maybe I'll end up needing that later. I'm going to end up taking this Shadow Ball with a Azumarill, and I have a bunch of lag. I don't think I missed any turns, but I might have. I really can't say. Regardless, I'm going to throw this Play Rough here, and I don't get a shield either. Now he's going to throw his next Shadow Ball, and I'm going to no-shield this one also, because I'm just too afraid that it could end up being a Poa Beam bait. And here, I should have thrown the Play Rough right away, but I lost track of energy because of the lag earlier. So I end up having to shield this Shadow Ball, which is not ideal, and now I'm going to throw this, and I'm not going to undercharge it because I don't really have an easy way of taking out Jellicent later either, and there's a Quillfish in the back, so I am going to swap into Froslass right away. Because Froslass at least will resist these Poison Stings. Take this first Aqua Tail. It doesn't do that much damage, and I'm going to throw just Avalanches. Like, Avalanche will hit Quillfish pretty hard just because Avalanche hits pretty hard, and Quillfish is fairly squishy. I should probably shield this because if I don't, I'm going to end up really low. But my switch timer isn't up now, so now I get chewed down by a Mawile, and that was the move that got me absolutely killed. Here I'm going to bring in a Azumarill, which is not going to be able to be taken out by this Power-Up Punch, and I'm actually going to Bubble down. Now switching back out to Crustle, and like the Poison Stings don't really do anything to Crustle, so I am just going to throw this X-Scissor. I get the last shield, and if I can reach this Rock Slide, like I sneak in that one move, all I need to do is throw one more Rock Slide, and I'll be able to actually take out this Quillfish, but yeah, Quillfish actually just super spammy, reaches the Aqua Tail in just 4 Poison Stings, so was able to outpace me and just Poison Sting his Azumarill down, and I don't actually manage to come back in that game. That's a JJ. That's rough. All right. Next up, Sableye into Zweilous. This is a really terrible lead. I am going to safe swap my Nidoqueen. And they're going to stay in for a bit, presumably because they want Nidoqueen to throw energy first before swapping out. I'm going to throw Poison Fang here. Like, this could totally be an Earth Power. It just happens not to be. And yeah, SJayP knows that and does not shield. Drop-In is going to come out, and I'm like, no, you know what? He's called my bait too many times. He freaking knows me, so I'm just going to throw the Earth Power, and he no-shields. So, great. Finally. I am going to shield this move. I was really worried it would be an Aqua Tail. Thankfully, it's just a Crunch, so I'm going to be able to safely Poison Jab the rest of the way down. Was not sure I'd be able to make it if it had been an Aqua Tail. And Zweilous is going to come back out. I'm just going to throw this Poison Fang. And if they no-shield and get taken out, then they won't be able to clear their debuff when they come back in with whatever, and it is a Shadow Skuntank. So I'm going to throw this first Poison Fang. I'm not going to even bother building up to my next one because I know that I can do enough fast move damage with Azumarill if I can just bubble a couple of times. Gonna throw that Poison Fang also. Now he's double debuffed, and I even got a shield there. Did some more damage with my Poison Stings, and yeah, or with my Poison Jabs. And now I'm going to send out a Azumarill because if Skuntank is going to throw something at me, even if it's a Sludge Bomb, Azumarill would be able to survive it, and I'd much rather he have to throw energy here, and then I can switch out to Sableye when he's empty if he turned out to have, you know, Sludge Bomb. So if I had sent out Sableye, I would be inviting getting hit with a Crunch, and then they'd be able to do more fast move damage and build up energy against the Azumarill and reach another move. So it was just safer in that instance to send in a Azumarill because Skuntank already had energy, and I'd rather, you know, him dump energy into a Azumarill instead of farming a Azumarill down and then dumping energy into Sableye. So yeah, that was actually the last battle, but I just kept talking. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Thank you very much to SJayP, Haydonus, NoTrebleClef, Aashish, Hollow Purple. My gosh, Who am I forgetting? This is going to look really bad if I don't remember. Nope, don't remember. Anyway, thank you. Oh, wait. It was Frosty. It was FrostyACY. Yeah. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to do the things you know you're supposed to do at the ends of videos. You know you're supposed to do them. And also, go do those things on the opponents that I had on their Twitch channels and on their Twitters and on their YouTube channels. I'm not sure if any of them has a YouTube channel. But yeah, thanks for watching.